Hello, everyone. Now we're going to talk about domain authority contributing factors, and this is going to be moving forward from what we discussed in the last chapter. I'm here with Jimmy and Sue, and Jimmy, why don't we just start right in and talk about what you mean by domain authority contributing factors?
So I think we try to go over the terms and get people up to speed on why it's important, but essentially, we need people to understand like how this connects. Before you can manipulate something, you have to understand how it works. So how is this domain authority or trust flow transferred down to our money site? How do we get that authority passed on to our site? Because there's plenty of other ones out there with it. We need it on ours, especially to rank in Google. So when you look at this, so you kind of saw the example between Overstock and that other jewelry site that we went over. And you saw that one site was completely relevant themed content. The other was just, a handful of pages on Overstock. And that plays into the relevance of the linking domains, which plays a very high importance to how much of that domain authority you can siphon through going down in levels with your links.
Okay.
So how's domain authority basically built? If you look at these giant 500-pound gorilla sites out there, they have a huge amount of inbound links that all have different, trust levels, if you will. So when you have this, you're going to see a boost as the domain authority flows from a source domain and then hits another domain and then hits the money site is all primarily going to be based off of the relevance of that. Domain authority will flow as you go along.
Got it.
So are you saying that if I've got a link on my Google Plus page, which has got a domain authority of 100, and that link goes over to a particular YouTube video where YouTube has also got a domain authority of 100, then I'm going to get a whole bunch of domain authority when I put a link in the YouTube video description down to my money site?
Yeah, because you're ending up being able to draw off of two very trusted source sites. And so they're like two basic votes that are going to then give, if you only had one versus the other, you're going to be amplified the more you can connect those because you're going to have a higher percentage of those trusted votes going to your site.
Got it. Now, if I have, I know this is getting a little bit ahead of myself, but if I've got a domain authority of 100 and it's linking to another domain authority of 100 and then to my site, is that actually helpful, or should the domain authority of those two links vary somehow?
I think they will vary. I mean, you're not going to be able to push the domain authority through things that are already maxed out.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't mean that doesn't pass on the page authority that's gone on through the relevance of those high domain authority sites.
Okay. So I'm passing the page authority on those individual pages as well as the domain authority. They're like two separate things that's coming down through those themed relevant links.
Correct.
Got it.
Good point.
So now, how do we use this? Well, we happen to have created a plugin called Social Explosion that will do just this. So one thing Google always touts about is be putting out quality content, get some shares, get some likes, normal link building that you would see, but what's going on with that picture? If you have one site, let's say, and you don't put up a post very often. Let's say you just put up like 3 posts a month and you get good activity on it and it gets a lot of shares. You're doing pretty good. But how much better would that be if you got the same amount of shares but put them out and you did 10 posts that month? Your domain authority is going to be affected on a lot higher level because you have more trust flow going to more pages on your site, which is going to help build that quickly over the course of time versus if you were only publishing a few times a month. And also your frequency of publish also helps Google come in and really give attention to your site as far as updates and things go.
Big time.
Okay. So you're talking about two separate things there. One is frequency of publish, so in other words, how often you're actually publishing blog posts, and the other one is a sustained speed or sustained degree of inbound links to those posts and being
Correct.
consistent across all the posts. Okay.
Yeah, and so we can manipulate this. We can put up content on our blogs. There's lots of great ways to do that. But in essence, you also need to combine getting high trust flow links in conjunction with having more pages on your site at the same time.
Right.
That will help adjust your domain authority to really be able to compete in some of these areas in the organic search.
Right. So we're looking for highly trusted links from trusted sources that have got high domain authority, and we're looking for links that are thematically relevant.
Correct.
Got it.
Excellent.
Very straightforward.
Cool.
So, you want to have that natural, you're going to want to have natural link growth also over time too, because, those big spiral things that we were looking at over on the previous video, if you just stop growing the cluster that you were seeing, you're not going to end up being that 500-pound gorilla. You're going to stop, and it's not going to grow.
Right.
Because those sites are always growing. By their very nature, they're living organisms, really.
Yeah, and that's why, and it's kind of interesting because how links just work naturally. Like somebody might link over to your source one month, and maybe they update that page and realize that the stuff you have is outdated, and so they reference another site. So that those links are coming in and out at a certain level, or they drop off, or sites go down, or whatever the case might be. And so, those are like fluctuations with that domain authority because that trust flow is always turning off and on.
All right.
So that's also something to take into consideration also. So you always want to be constantly trying to grow these natural kind of links that are more geared towards the high domain authority to keep that level continually growing.
Okay. Excellent.
So you want to go over author rank, Sue?
Sure. So this is just a little bit of futuring because I see a lot of mirroring going on between what we're talking about with domain authority and where we're headed in the semantic web. So one of the things that you're looking for in the semantic web is trust. Everything is built off of trust in the semantic web. And so I'm looking at these concepts of trust in the semantic web and also the concept of trust in domain authority, and I'm seeing a lot of parallels there. And so this graphic is about a thing that's called author rank, which is a hypothetical concept, but it's just if you were going to take a look at how Google is valuing things and how their authorship is moving forward. It's made huge strides in the last year in terms of what it takes to be a bona fide Google author and what it is that they're doing with author images in the SERPs in terms of requiring a certain level of trust in order for your pictures to show up in the SERPs. And so I'm just looking at all of that, and it makes me think that this is going to start to marry and go more hand in hand. So in other words, if you're an author on a trusted domain, I think that that's going to lead more to your trust as an author. And if you're a trusted author through other sources, then that trust is also going to flow into the trust factor that I think Google is going to use for rankings. And so that's just, it's a little bit of a tangent idea, but I think as we move forward the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to start to see these two ideas intertwine even more. So if you weren't already on the Google authorship bandwagon, you should be. You should make sure you get your authorship squared away, and you should, that trust is a thing that's hard to earn and easy to lose. So you want to make sure that you're doing the things with your Google account and your Google authorship that you want to promote, and don't use your authorship on sites that have got questionable content quality and questionable linking structures. Like, make sure that you keep it pristine, and look toward making yourself a what's the word that I want? An authority on the subject or subjects in which you write.
I think what you really meant is atawata.
Exactly.
Just to take a South Park neologism so people don't think I'm absolutely insane. Fantastic. I really get it.
Excellent. So I think that covers the contributing factors currently and a bit into the future for domain authority.
Nice. So we'll wrap this one up, and once everyone listening has read this chapter in the course, go ahead and move on to the next module, and we'll see you on that video.
The